There's a language most men never learn. It isn't taught in school. It isn't written in dating advice columns. And it has nothing to do with what you say. It has everything to do with what you don't. High-value men speak differently, not because they studied psychology or read manipulation tactics, but because they understand something ancient, something most men today have forgotten: the power of silence, the strength in restraint, the magnetism of a man who doesn't need to prove anything. And that's exactly what makes women chase. You've seen it before. Maybe you've even felt it. The guy who talks less gets more attention. The man who doesn't flood her phone with messages somehow stays on her mind. The one who walks away first is the one she runs after. It doesn't make sense at first. We're told communication is everything. We're told to express ourselves, to share our feelings, to be open and vulnerable. And yet the men who do all of that often find themselves ignored, friend-zoned, or worse, used for emotional support while she chases someone else. Someone who barely texts back. Someone who doesn't explain himself. Someone who seems unbothered. And that drives her wild. Here's the truth most men don't want to hear. When you speak too much, you reveal too much. When you explain yourself constantly, you're asking for approval. When you fill every silence with words, you're showing her that you're uncomfortable with who you are. And women can sense that, not consciously maybe, but on a primal level they feel it. A man who needs validation is not a man who has power. A man who chases is not a man who is chased. And a man who talks to fill the void is not a man who is content in his own presence. Let's get specific. Picture this. It's late at night. She texts you. Something casual, maybe even a little flirty. "Hey, what are you up to?" Most guys respond immediately. They type out 3 paragraphs. They tell her about their entire day. They ask her 5 follow-up questions. They try to keep the conversation going because they're afraid if they don't, she'll lose interest. And guess what happens? She does. Not because the conversation ended, but because he showed his hand. He showed her that he was waiting, that he cared more, that he needed her attention more than she needed his. Now imagine a different man, same text, same time. He sees it, he doesn't panic, he doesn't rush. Maybe he waits 20 minutes, maybe an hour. When he finally responds, it's short. Handling something, talk later, that's it. No explanation, no apology, no paragraphs, just a simple boundary. And what does she do? She thinks about him. She wonders what he's doing. She feels a little off balance because he didn't give her what she expected. He didn't perform, he didn't chase, and now without even realizing it, she's the one chasing. Not because he played a game, but because he respected his own time and energy enough not to drop everything for a text. This is the economy of words. The Stoics understood this thousands of years ago. They taught that a wise man controls his tongue, that he speaks only when his words improve upon silence, that he doesn't waste energy trying to convince others of his worth. Because a man who knows his value doesn't need to announce it. He simply lives it, and others feel it. Especially women, because women are drawn to men who are grounded. Men who don't need external validation. Men who are calm in their own skin, and that calmness shows up in how you communicate. When you speak less, you force her to lean in. When you don't explain yourself, you create mystery. When you're comfortable with silence, you signal emotional control. And emotional control is one of the highest forms of attraction. It says, I am not reactive. I am not desperate. I am not performing for your approval. And that's rare. Most men today are trained to be the opposite. They're taught to be expressive, emotional, available at all times. And while those traits have their place, they kill attraction when they come from a place of need. Here's the shift. High-value men don't speak to impress. They speak to communicate. They don't text to keep her entertained. They text when they have something to say. They don't fill silence because silence doesn't threaten them. They understand that attention is a currency, and the more you give it away for free, the less it's worth. So they become selective, not cold, not cruel, but intentional. They protect their energy. They respect their own time. And they understand that a woman doesn't want a man who's always available. She wants a man who has a life worth being unavailable for. Let's talk psychology for a moment. There's a concept called intermittent reinforcement. It's the same principle that makes gambling addictive. You don't win every time, but you win just enough to keep playing. And that inconsistency creates obsession. Now, I'm not telling you to manipulate women, but I am telling you to understand how human behavior works. When you're always available, always responsive, always giving attention, there's no tension, no mystery, no chase. You become predictable, and predictable is boring. But when you're selective with your words, your time, your presence, you create natural tension. She doesn't know when she'll get your attention next, and that unpredictability keeps her engaged. But here's where most men get it wrong. They think this means playing games, acting distant for the sake of it, being cold or rude. That's not what this is. This isn't about withholding love or being an emotionally unavailable player. This is about having a life you actually care about. This is about being a man who isn't sitting around waiting for her text. A man who has purpose, goals, standards, and when she enters your world, she gets your attention because you choose to give it, not because you're desperate for hers. So how do high-value men actually speak to women? Let's break it down. First, they speak with brevity. They don't over-explain. They don't justify. They don't seek approval through their words. If she asks where they were, they don't write an essay. They give a simple, honest answer and move on. I was at the gym. Done. No need to prove you weren't doing something wrong. No need to reassure her. Just the truth. Clean and calm. Second, they ask more than they tell. Instead of talking about themselves constantly, they create space for her to share. What's been on your mind lately? That's a powerful question. It shows interest without neediness. It invites depth without demanding it. And it shifts the dynamic. Now she's investing in the conversation. She's sharing. She's opening up. And the more she invests, the more she values the connection. Third, they don't react emotionally to tests. Women test men, not because they're evil or manipulative, but because they need to know if you're solid, if you're easily shaken, if your frame is strong or weak. She might say something to provoke you. You never text me back fast enough. A low-value man defends himself. I was busy. I have a life. He's reactive, emotional, defensive. A high-value man. He stays calm. I respond when I can. Simple. No emotion, no defense, just a boundary, and she respects that. Because she sees he's not rattled. He's not controlled by her feelings. He has his own center. Fourth, they're comfortable with silence. This is huge. Most men panic when a conversation dies. They scramble to revive it. They send memes, random questions, anything to keep her engaged. But high-value men understand that silence is natural. Not every moment needs to be filled. Not every text needs a reply. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is nothing. Let the silence sit. Let her wonder. Let her reach out. And when she does, she's investing. She's chasing, not because you tricked her, but because you didn't act desperate. Here's a mental exercise for you. For the next 24 hours, practice restraint in your communication. If you're about to send a long text, cut it in half. If you're about to explain yourself, don't. If you're about to fill a silence, resist. Just observe. See what happens. You'll notice something strange. The less you say, the more she engages. The less you explain, the more she respects you. The less you chase, the more she chases. It's not magic. It's human nature. People value what they have to work for, and they dismiss what comes too easy. Now let's go deeper. This isn't just about women. This is about how you move through the world. High-value men speak less because they're not seeking validation from anyone. Not from women, not from friends, not from society. They've done the inner work. They know who they are. They've built something real, a purpose, a mission, a life they respect. And because of that, they don't need constant reassurance. They don't need to be liked by everyone. They don't need to perform. They simply exist in their power. And that quiet confidence is magnetic. The Stoics called this self-sufficiency, the ability to find contentment within yourself, to not be swayed by external approval or rejection. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's the key. You can't control how she responds. You can't control if she chases or walks away. But you can control your own frame, your own peace, your own standards. And when you do, you become the kind of man who naturally attracts high-quality women. Not because you're playing a game, but because you've become someone worth chasing. Let's bring this home. If you want women to chase you, stop chasing them. Not out of bitterness or revenge, but out of respect for yourself. Build a life so compelling that you don't have time to be glued to your phone. Pursue goals so meaningful that her attention becomes a bonus, not a necessity. Speak with intention, not desperation. Create space, not scarcity. And watch what happens. Watch how the energy shifts. Watch how she starts initiating, asking questions, seeking your time. Not because you manipulated her, but because you stopped acting like a man who needed her to complete him. This is the path of the high-value man, the Stoic man. The man who understands that silence is not weakness, it's control. That detachment is not coldness, it's freedom. That speaking less doesn't make you boring. It makes you powerful, because the world is full of noise, full of men shouting for attention. And in the middle of all that chaos, the man who is calm, who is centered, who speaks only when it matters, that's the man she can't stop thinking about. So here's my challenge to you. Stop explaining. Stop seeking approval. Stop filling every silence. Let your actions speak. Let your presence be enough. And watch how everything changes. Not just with women, but with how you see yourself. Because the moment you stop needing validation from the outside, world is the moment you step into your true power. If this resonated with you, let me know in the comments. What's one moment where staying silent taught you more than words ever could? Drop your story below. And if you're ready to keep building this mindset, hit that subscribe button. Because we're just getting started. This journey isn't about tricks or tactics. It's about becoming the kind of man who doesn't need them. This is Stoic truth, where silence becomes strength,